What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back, and I want to highlight a gentleman named Reggie Aki. He works for ABC7 News Bay Area. I have two videos lined up that will show you exactly how extreme this quote-unquote news reporter is and how nobody in their right mind could for one split second believe that this man is going to report the news honestly. It's all absolutely beyond parody. And this first video is from late March, and they are highlighting International Transgender Day of Visibility as if the transformer community is not visible every single other waking moment of our lives. It's absolutely ridiculous. They say, a day to celebrate the success of transgender and gender nonconforming people. It's also a day for allies and advocates to show support. Here's why this day is so important. This is what they are serving people on mainstream Bay Area news, right? The idea that a man pretending to be a woman is a reason to celebrate. And I understand that we've been dealing with this for a handful of years, but this softball piece is so through the roof, he even goes as far to say that anybody who doesn't agree with this is just straight up not a good person. Take a look.
Our other focus today is Transgender Day of Visibility, a day to celebrate the achievements of transgender rights activists and to increase awareness of the ongoing challenges that transgender and gender nonconforming people face.
Not the challenges that they are foisting upon regular people, though. We don't want to talk about those.
It comes at a time when lawmakers around the country are passing legislation that puts limits on the transgender community and their rights. There are various events happening around town. We put a full list of them on our website, abc7news.com. But I think most of all, it's just a time to really think about the folks in our community who have done a lot, will continue to do.
What? Name one thing. Name one thing that they've done. What's so important? You can't name one. They just spew these things out and you can't question it. You will get no confirmation. It's just by way of them saying one thing automatically makes it true. And if you question it, obviously you will be labeled a bigot or a phobist, ism, whatever it is.
A lot, and who need our support.
You desperately need our...
Do they need our support, though? You just said how the great things that they're doing and how important they are. So why do they need support if they're doing so great, on their own? No, because they're constantly shoving it in your face and trying to make you believe that up is down, left is right, man is woman. The list goes on. Par for the course in the backwards, bizarro world. Because, like I always say, if they can drill this into you, if they can sell you this, then they can sell you anything. You will buy anything because you can just magically change into a woman if you so choose. The rest of it is this is the big ask. After this, every single thing is easy. Obviously, the air outside your door is deadly. Obviously, you driving around in a truck is going to destroy the planet. Obviously, you eating beef is going to, bring the sun monster, the cow farts. It's all absolutely ridiculous. And this is why they like this one so much, is because if they can get you to believe the most outlandish thing, period, then everything else is going to be an easy sell.
Support. There is legislation in actually every state.
We can maybe look into her at a different date. This is about Reggie there sitting on the left, but she is now saying that, well, every single state has these laws on the books. Yeah, what do you think? Did you ever think why they might be doing that? Is it because it's not realistic to just pretend that these things? I mean, I want to identify as Steph Curry and go to the NBA Finals, but it's not real.
So let's not count out California that are coming for trans people in some shape, form, or fashion. Now,
coming for, right? Even in California, they are coming for trans people. The framing is absolutely through the roof here, and this somehow passes for news in San Francisco.
Be on the extreme end. That could also be in our state. I'll just talk about in California. There's a bill that I was looking at actually last week that would require the school to notify a parent if a child decides to use a different pronoun at school.
How on earth would that child even begin to want to use a different pronoun if a weirdo teacher did not foist that on them? And we're also told, right, Pride Month is just around the corner here. You're supposed to be proud of these things. So why are you not proud to tell the teacher? You should be so happy and prideful that this kid has chosen your weird cult. So we're told every single other time that, this is tolerance and love and you should be proud. But when a kid wants to do it, you think that the school shouldn't be required to tell the parents, even though they should be happy and proud about this identification. So what's the deal with that?
Right now, you don't have to do that. Why would you do that? That's their business. And if
It's the child's business, right? The child gets to choose. And if the child wants to cut his junk off, that's their business. Why should the parents have any say in that? It should be between the child and the creepy teacher. Duh.
a student comes to me or something and says, I like my pronouns to be they, them, or she, her, or whatever the case, sure, I'll honor that. That's fine. So,
And also, and you might think, okay, well, what's the
Here he comes. This is where it gets really dark. So this little woman is already saying some outlandish stuff, but he's going to come here and drop the hammer and just say, they're not good people.
big deal about informing the parent?
Yeah.
Well, that's because you're probably a really good person.
Yeah.
And there wouldn't be consequences for your child if they came home and the teacher informed you.
right.
There wouldn't be consequences if you let the teacher indoctrinate your kids and not, try to stop them. You're a good person if you let the teacher mold your child into a weirdo cultist, right? That makes you a good person, letting the teachers have their way with them. But if you try to stop that, then you are just not a good person.
There are lots of people who are not very good people.
Yeah.
And they would hear that and they would freak all the way out, and possibly it would be very bad for their child.
So the parents freaking out about a kid using a different pronoun would be very bad for the child. But him, getting convinced that maybe he should mutilate his body or she should mutilate her body, that would be very good for the child. What is this guy talking about? And again, this is on mainstream news in the Bay Area, right? It's not even remotely close to pretending to just, report the news, report all of the crime, report all of the drug use, the homelessness, report the break-ins. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about how you are a bad parent if a teacher is forced to tell you that they are indoctrinating your child and you want to stop it. That makes you a bad person, according to Reggie Aki.
So
Yeah.
there are reasons that would be a bad idea.
Yes, exactly. And especially if a student is coming to you and maybe saying that I haven't informed my parents or caregiver yet.
So where did it come from? They just did it naturally? Where did it come from?
And that is their right to be able to take their time and how they want to do that. So and that's happening here. So if you hadn't heard about that, just make sure to familiarize.
So they're clearly propagandists for the establishment, weirdo gender ideologues, right? Like even in California, people are pushing back on this insanity, and they want you to believe that this is just the middle of the road. We're just normal people reporting the news and letting you know how these big mean people are trying to stop kids from cutting their junk off. They're just not good people.
Yourself with our own legislation. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first one. But there's another one, and it's arguably worse. And it's so good, in fact, that ABC 7 News Bay Area has decided to remove the comments from this particular post. So again, this aired on television. Presumably, they thought it was so good they would clip it and put it on their social media. And it was so popular, it got such great feedback, they decided not to let anybody comment on it. Why would they do that?
A journey that you have been on.
Oh my gosh, for real. It's so exciting to be here, though.
It is.
It's so exciting to be here. This is the first transgender Miss San Francisco, Mr. San Francisco, apparently. Now, credit where it's due. At least this person passes, I suppose. But it's still all an absolute game.
Is. And you're such a young person, but your story.
You're such a young person. This guy is laying it on so thick. Who watches this and says, yeah, I trust this guy. I like the cut of this guy's jib. Seems like he's going to shoot it straight, no pun intended. He's obviously playing the game as a political hack to brainwash children and some adults.
Story is really dramatic. I mean, you have seen a lot, you have been through a lot. So to get this crown at your first pageant ever, what did that feel like?
This is like when Drew Barrymore kneeled before Dylan Mulvaney. He's just gushing Oh, you're just so brave. A man is now Miss San Francisco. What about all the real women? Who cares about them? I love a guy in a dress. It's ridiculous. And again, there's no comments.
Oh my gosh, it's been a month since crowning, and every day since I've been writing that moment, and I've just been so grateful and so blessed. It is the dream of a lifetime, and every single day I'm living it.
What made you think this was the year that you wanted to get involved in pageants?
Oh, well, because this is the year of the Transformer. This is the year where anything goes. This is the year where I can do whatever it is I want. There's that Family Guy clip of a man in a dress watching, inappropriate material on his phone, and the bartender says, you can't do that here. And he says, oh, don't worry about it. I'm transgender. And that's exactly what it is. So this person, this carbon-based life form, realized that now, I got to strike while the iron's hot. Because I can do no wrong as long as I pretend to be a woman. There's nothing else. Real women be damned. Women's March, Women's Month, Women's History, whatever. Who cares about that? I'm a dude in a dress. I'm the best at this particular point. Patriarchy strikes again, right?
I think that from a young age, I've always watched Miss America, and I never thought someone like me could compete.
Yeah, well, because you're a man. So you shouldn't have been competing, obviously, duh. But now it's 2023, and I know I got free reign.
And I think so many little girls dream about becoming Miss America, dream about winning a pageant, and I did too, but for someone like me to compete wasn't something that was possible.
Correct, and that's how it should have stayed.
But I told myself that this year
I got carte blanche.
I wanted to do it, because if not me, then who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to think, breaking barriers is not easy.
Yeah.
There's not a mold. There's not anyone to follow. You're looking in front of you and behind you going, well,
Right.
I'm going to take the jump.
Right.
But did you think, I think I might win?
I mean, every girl that competes, I think, wants to win. And I always thought,
Yeah, but you're not a girl, so.
I had a chance. And honestly, when I decided to compete, I wanted to be my authentic self.
Yeah.
That was it. Win or lose. And that was the mindset I was going into the competition, going into Miss San Francisco, was that no matter what happens, as long as I'm true to myself and I'm able to share that message with.
As long as I'm true to myself, the gaslighting is absolutely through the roof here.
With the audience, that was the most important thing for me.
You are from the Bay Area.
I am.
So where did you grow up? What city did you grow up in?
Well, I grew up in San Leandro.
Okay.
Yes.
And it wasn't easy.
It wasn't.
You're such a hero. You had hardworking parents, and now you're a dude in a dress stealing awards from women. You should be so proud of yourself.
Yeah, I grew up in very much a working class family. My dad worked as a courthouse janitor, and my mom worked as a sheriff technician. And so I really had to, and I'm also the first in my family to go to college.
You went to UCLA, right?
I did went to UCLA, yeah.
I went to UCLA. Firing on all circuits. This is insanity.
Yes, and so I think every step of the way I've had to figure it out on my own. And that's always been a challenge, but I feel like through every obstacle that I've been through, I've been able to overcome it.
What?
So this guy has kneeled at the altar of this person who presumably took the prize from a real woman, because we do not care about them anymore, right? They don't have any more victim cards, right? I mean, even a black woman, even Candace Owens, right? She's not going to get any victim cards because it's never been about that, quite obviously. But so we watched those two videos of this guy being an absolute extremist when it comes to gender ideology. So he's pretending like he's not pretending. I think he actually believes this. You're not a good person if you don't let the teacher indoctrinate your kids and stay hands off. And then he bows in front of this carbon-based life form who apparently won Miss San Francisco. So he's all in. Naturally, we have to take a little bit of a brief look at his background. So this is clearly an older picture of him straight from the ABC 7 News website. I opened for comedian Margaret Cho. Dolly Parton sang a duet with me. I was Chuck E. Cheese. More on those stories in a moment, but we start with my resume. We'll keep this short because that Margaret Cho story is good. Reggie Aki, presumably, is an anchor for ABC 7 Mornings. He came to the station in October 2015 after anchoring at KGW-TV in Portland, Oregon. Surprise, surprise. Prior to that, he worked for CNN in Atlanta as an anchor for the network's streaming news service. Interesting. At CNN, he anchored CNN Facebook coverage of President Obama's inauguration. At the time, most viewed streaming event. He also extensively covered the Arab Spring uprising and the Japanese tsunami disaster on CNN International. So he worked for CNN and in Portland, Oregon. So what better place to end up than the Bay Area attempting to indoctrinate children with the help of creepy teachers? And the best part here, Reggie lives in San Francisco with his husband Phil and their Beagle mix Woodstock. He's obsessed with Disney theme parks, predictable, and is finally okay admitting it now that he works for a station owned by the Walt Disney Company. And there we have it, to bring it completely full circle. Disney in California announces Pride Night to spite Ron DeSantis. This guy is clearly on the indoctrination train and doing puff pieces about the Transformer community, and I'm sure there's more where that came from. Those were just two recent ones. And naturally, his Instagram. 0 Emmys, not Instagram verified, dad with no kids, okay. Anchor ABC 7 News, San Francisco. And he has a link to an Alzheimer's fund, which is, I guess, fairly random. But here you can see a little bit of him. He's at a Disney park with some kids. I guess that's fair, not disturbing at all. And then we've got him in his, some drag queen shirt or something. If drag didn't exist, then I would never have this shirt from Mother. And then where would we be? So that's funny, right? Here's a good one. This is my favorite, actually. Repping for our trans friends, literally. And he's pointing at his little trans flag gym shirt there. So how can you look through this profile? How can you listen to this man and think for one split second he is going to tell you the news honestly? Look, we all have a bias. We all have a clear point of view. But if he wants to, for one millisecond, pretend that he is not on board with the entirety of this weirdo indoctrination agenda, you'd be mistaken. There's absolutely no way. We just saw, of course, the Disney Pride Night. We saw Pride proms being scheduled all across the country. So anybody who wants to pretend that this is not about targeting children, I got to ask you to prove it. Because there's no way that things like this aren't going directly for children, right? I mean, he literally just said, we watched the clip, that you are a bad person if you don't let the teacher who is also with this agenda indoctrinate your children. And here, of course, is his Twitter. Still doing the morning announcements, ABC 7 Bay Area, basically your news dad. And he's, of course, got the pronouns in there. I think he's even added that to like the actual name, right? I thought before, I don't use Twitter. I do have a handle. You're more than welcome to follow me there. Not what this is about. He, him. So you are compromised, bro. I mean, how? How does anybody look at this and say, yeah, I trust this guy? I mean, I guess if you're in the Bay Area and you're on board with this and you can't see through it, you're so deep in, your heels are so dug in, you can't see that there's a very clear agenda. Do you think for one split second this guy is going to report anything that doesn't fit 100% in with the narrative? And I can almost guarantee he is on board with every single one of them, no matter how conflicting they are within another one of their talking points and agendas, right? It's absolutely despicable. So ABC 7 clearly needs to do better. We know they won't, but just realize that when you're watching these people, they're pretending to be news anchors. They absolutely are not. They are propagandists. I know this, you know this, but spread the word, because clearly some people still don't get it. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.